You've lived your whole life in a world that is run by the church, and now your family is getting slaughtered for a mistake someone else made. What would you do? It's only a matter of time before you get drained of blood. I'm going to break down the mistakes made, what you should do, and how to beat Dracula's armies in Castlevania. The people of this city gather around and watch, like as if they're going to Sunday Night Football and cheer on, while the local city church thinks that this woman is a witch and prepare to burn her alive to save her soul, because that's totally how it works. She calls out to somebody mysterious in the air and begs them not to harm these backwards thinking people. They burn her alive and the skin melts from her body until her bones crumble to ashes. Thinking they've saved this town, the church prepares to celebrate just as a horrifying creature appears over the lady's ashes. It's Dracula, and these people have just murdered his innocent wife. Livid, Dracula declares that this city and the world will now pay the ultimate price, and he tells his demon army from hell to kill every human they see, especially members of the church. Raining blood, the innocent and guilty get butchered left and right, their guts ripped from their stomachs, and children's heads are removed from their spine. It's a bloodbath, and there's nowhere left to run. This is Dracula, the most powerful being in this world, and he has created technologies centuries ahead of anyone. And this is the reason why this dumb blonde over here came to Dracula 20 years ago to learn his ways in science and medicine. The church of this city has basically rejected all science, and this is the reason why they killed this lady, because they thought she was a follower of Satan. Dracula here blames humanity for his wife's death, and at this point as a citizen, it's too late to fix anything. We can't call mulligan, do over, let's try again, my bad. But here's how we escape this alive. From the moment I saw Dracula appear over his wife's corpse, I am running. The radius of this shit show is probably going to be the greatest at the center from where this priest sat, and that means the further we get away from this location, the less likely we are to encounter Dracula's earthquakes and demon army. The city they are currently in is known as the city of Wallachia, a region located in Europe during the late Middle Ages, and that means these people don't have cars to get away very quickly. But the positive thing to note, however, is that according to this map, this city, the city of Gresit, is located just south of the mountains, and that means if I'm one of the citizens inside of the city of Wallachia, I know there's mountains that way, but just in case, I'm going to try to get a hold of a map of the land before getting a horse to travel even faster. And while I'm doing this, I'm sprinting down narrow, secluded streets far away from the main routes of the city. These goblin demons of Dracula, whatever they are more likely going to attack the crowded areas of the city first before they move outward. With my horse and map in tow, I'm going full on to the city of Gresit and head into the dense mountains that will offer better protection than any city made by man. This will give me time to better figure out my next move and hopefully find a way to get out of Wallachia entirely. Meanwhile, in a nearby town, Trevor here takes a break from his job. He's a family member of the world's greatest vampire hunter family, but he's the only one left. He overhears from these people that Dracula's armies have begun to take over the world, and it won't be long before they reach this town. At sunrise, he decides to investigate a city nearby, the one that was attacked just last night by Dracula's demons, the city of Gresit. Approaching it, he spots terrifying demon gargoyles outside of the city, one holding a baby in its mouth. The sun rises while the people of this town wake up to a brutal sight. Mothers, husbands, sons, daughters, all dead. The town tries to recover from last night's attack, but everyone is on high alert. They know that by sundown, the same nightmare will begin all over again. Because he is so on the right side of the law, Trevor sneaks into the fortified city through its sewers and finds hundreds of corpses and bloody guts lying everywhere. He's never seen a vampire attack so horrifying and thinks that something else is going on. Well, holy guacamole! This situation has gotten a whole lot worse. This place is devastated. These creatures clearly don't care about who's innocent or guilty, and means that we're nothing more than food to them. But we do have one thing that does give us some hope into stopping this army. They are clearly limited by the fact that they can only come out at night, and that means that Trevor here has some time to take advantage of the situation. Running away in this situation is totally obvious and respectable, but if I was Trevor, I'd use the daytime to be the best asshole that I could be. I would poke around all the dead corpses and their places of residence, first to gather supplies such as food and money, which we will need to buy more weapons and survival gear. But then I would approach places of worship and nobility in a city such as this, specifically for example the Catholic Church. They're likely to be loaded with coin, and from the looks of things, no one else is clearly a professional vampire hunter. That means our services should be in serious demand right now, even though I'm sure they're not happy that I'm a Belmont. I think they'll get over it. If the church says get out of Dodge, then I'm just gonna make my way over to the nobility of this city. I'd offer them my professional services and protect them from the vampire horde in a rather sneaky value proposition, whereby I would cheat them out of their money for little work. Here's how. I would demand a large large sum of upfront cash or gold first, 40% of the total amount, before stating that I will go and kill one of the vampire demons and bring it back to them so they can examine it, whereby I will need another 15% of the total sum paid to me, totaling 55% of the total fee. Then after this, I would begin by preparing to take on the rest of the vampire army, or at least that's what I'll make everybody else think. I'll equip as many people as I can with the very weapons that I found from their dead neighbors. This will make people think that I'm in it for the long haul. By delivering one demon to the city first, this will guarantee that my image as a fearless hunter remains intact, and bringing one back in the flesh will remind the citizens of just how terrifying these things truly are. Though considering they were just attacked last night, it's probably not that hard. I would also make up some BS about examining their enemy and their position, and how this will give the city and its people a tactical advantage, should they ever run into these demons again in the future. But however, once I get paid 55% of the total amount, and they think I'll be preparing to take on the demon army with them, that's when I'm gonna bail, get out of Dodge, and run away just before nightfall. This will ensure that the city won't be able to catch me, since they'll be too busy dealing with the vampire horde last minute. I'll be out of the city, I'll have a lot of money, and I'll have food. All the things you need to survive. He quickly interviews the city's residents to get the full story, finding out from this beard guy that the powerful church has denied responsibility for these attacks. They think killing Dracula's wife was justified and the right thing to do, and that God approved it, and they are blaming everyone but themselves. The town is divided and has begun pointing fingers at everyone. Trevor, going down a city street, runs into an old man, a man that will change everything. Trevor overhears these church guards blaming the old man for Dracula's attacks. They think he's being controlled by the devil, and they don't trust his new ways of thinking. They prepare to brutally kill him when Trevor suddenly stops them, cutting off this guy's finger, gouging out this man's eyeball. Ugh, nasty. He rescues the old man with ease. He then introduces himself to Trevor and says that he's a part of a peaceful tribe of magicians. They've come to this town to offer help to the citizens, and are now being blamed by the church for Dracula's attacks. Trevor offers to walk the old man back to his safe house, where he meets the rest of his tribe group, and they fill him in on the situation and why they're really here. According to an ancient legend, a legendary soldier is sleeping beneath this city. Once he wakes up, he'll come back and save everyone, and this tribe wants to find him and wake him up. Trevor thinks they're crazy, and they reveal to him that one of their members went looking for the ancient soldier last night, but is now missing. And by the way, it's the old man's grandchild. Trevor feels bad for these people and decides to help them out, but his price for helping them is that they get out of town before Dracula's demon army comes back tonight. So you're telling me we're now going to be looking for the Wallachian version of Captain America? At this point, I'm not going to trust one word that comes out of this group of AOT-dressed wannabes. This tribe is a group of scholars called the Speakers. They basically memorize the oral history of this country for fun and help people. Blah, they're too nice. Because while they may not look it, and they don't, these guys are overpowered as hell. They are knowledgeable practitioners of the magical arts, just like vampires. But these guys fight for good, which is really nice. This means that I would bring a few of these dudes down with me when we're looking for this guy's granddaughter, because while I may be the strongest, sexiest vampire hunter alive, we are severely outmatched right now. Trevor finds the secret entrance and heads underneath the castle. Noticing advanced technology, heated pipes, and electricity, he discovers these frozen corpses and runs into this Cyclops. Blasting at him, Trevor quickly takes cover. Using both his whip and his sword, he swiftly kills the beast. But that's when the frozen spell of the corpses wear off, and he finds the old man's granddaughter, this girl, Sypha. He takes her back to reunite with the old man, but tells Trevor that the monsters were guarding something down there, and she thinks it's the legendary soldier. Trevor tells them that he did see advanced technology while they were down there, and suspects that they may have reached Dracula's lair. Trevor leaves the group and tells them to leave while they can, and runs into this church dude who stops him in his tracks, telling him the most powerful man in the area wants to see him, the Bishop of Gresit. There, Trevor confronts him about blaming the demon event on the Speakers. The bishop thinks the hordes of monsters came due to the public's lack of faith in God. Trevor is incredulous, and the bishop tells Trevor that the Speakers make the perfect scapegoats. This man arranged Dracula's wife's death, and is batshit shocking Trevor to the bone. He tells Trevor that other cities have already fallen, and these demons will help put the fear of God back into the public, making this bishop the most powerful man in Wallachia. He tells Trevor that he'll spare him, and that the innocent Speakers will be sacrificed tonight by sundown. Hey, this guy's insane. This bishop is scarier than a regular enemy. He is not acting this way out of what must be done. He thinks that he's right, that his current and past actions are justifiable and approved by God. This guy's a wacko, his thugs are wackos, everyone here is nuts. This bishop is so clearly not doing the will of God right now. He killed Dracula's wife so easily despite being a man of God, and that's why he's able to act swiftly in all the crazy stuff that he is doing. He's not like the Joker, instigating shit for fun. Well, this guy actually thinks he's the good guy in this story, and that and everyone else is wrong. This means we're not going to be able to debate the evil out of him and realign his moral compass. He doesn't have one. The only way to stop him is by killing him outright. If I'm Trevor and I did just kill a stone laser blasting Cyclops by myself, I think I can take on a bunch of thugs. With my whip and short sword, I will be able to kill the bishop and find my way out and lose his thugs in the city and then sneak out of Gresit through the sewers. Trevor ignores the bishop's warning and runs back to the speakers, telling Old Man what's headed their way if they don't leave now. Stubborn, these fools think that they can help this city and refuse to leave, making a speech about trying to save humanity, blah blah blah, and they manage to convince Trevor to be a sexy hero. Coming up with a plan, he hides the speakers down below where he found Sypha, and sundown finally arrives. The demon monsters and the bishop's people both prepare for blood to be spilled. The bishop's goons head to the speaker's hideout, but find only Trevor there. They demand for him to hand over the speakers, but instead he makes a break for it and runs away, doing some really sweet parkour moves and slows them down, but he accidentally bumps into One-Eye Guy from earlier, and they duke it out. Meanwhile, the bishop remains hidden in his church, knowing that the demons can't enter the house of God. But that's when something horrifying easily opens the doors. This blue-fanged demon. The bishop is shocked and tells them that they shouldn't be allowed in here, a place of worship. The demon smiles and tells them that he's the direct cause behind the demon outbreak. Without him, they would not be here. They tell him that his actions have made God puke. God doesn't love him anymore, but they do. Unable to do anything, the terrified bishop waits for Blue Fangs to lay a kiss on him, brutally dying in the process. Back outside, Trevor runs for his life. Out of breath, he gets cornered and is about to die when Sypha does some magic to protect him and helps him escape. But Trevor calls out to the bishop's second-in-command, this guy, and makes the public finally realize that the church is to blame for the demon attack. He watches the citizens quickly slaughter the church guy just as the demons break into the city. Trevor quickly gives the townsfolk some battle tactics to follow and prepares them for the bloody fight. Sypha helps them out and slows down the monsters. Working together, they manage to desperately take out all of the demons. For now, suddenly, the ground erupts and Trevor and Sypha both fall deep underground. It's strange. They come across countless booby traps as they try to navigate the dangerous area. Okay, what just happened? This just keeps getting weirder and weirder. These guys have just stumbled onto another entrance deeper into the underbelly of this city than they were last time. And clearly, not only is this place a death trap, but a death trap on the verge of falling apart. The minute we fell down here, we should have tried to find a way to get right back up from where we came from. I just saw Sypha use some magic to slow our fall, so hopefully she's got some magic juice to get us back up and out straight up. Because remembering from the last time they came in here, Trevor noticed advanced technology that he's never seen before. One, whatever built this place knew that intruders were probably going to try to find it, so it set up defenses. And two, it set up its defenses in a place that is so old that the ground is subtly breaking off, setting off a domino effect that caused the entirety of this weak structure to go to shit, because everything that we were standing on top of came tumbling down. Considering that all the metal here is either iron or steel, that means that whatever set this place up did so a century ago. But the fact that its booby traps are still active, and that there is electricity, and that there's heat, this makes me think of one of two possibilities. One, the original creators have died, and whatever is down here has moved in and set up defenses. Or two, we're dealing with something that is so old and so powerful that the only likely explanation is that we just stumbled into a vampire den. Barely making it out alive, that's when they notice this strange hall and accidentally discover a hidden secret. Trevor steps on a sensor that causes this coffin to open up, waking up this ice-cold, perfect creature as it begins to float up in the air. Sypha thinks this guy is the sleeping soldier, but Trevor knows this man ain't no hero, but it's just another six-pack stud, aka the love child of Fabio and Edward Cullen, a vampire. Trevor thinks this is Dracula himself. Trevor takes out his whip and tries to attack him, but he blocks it, and the vampire uses his powers to surprise him, clashing swords until Trevor knocks him in the cojones, and this damn demon feels absolutely nothing down there and tells him to have some class. The fight then goes to a stalemate, with both of them prepared to take out the other one. However, Sypha then breaks up the fight. The mysterious creature then smiles and says he thinks they're worthy of his plans, and he introduces himself as Dracula's son, Alucard. Alucard reveals to the two that he tried to stop his father from releasing his demon army, but he was defeated, sleeping beneath this city for the last year. He says that he's finally healed all up and that he's ready to fight his father once again. Trevor doesn't trust him, but Alucard reveals that the sleeping soldier prophecy stated that he would be awakened by a magician and a hunter, proving that these two were meant to find him. Finally convinced, the three team up, but Trevor realizes that teaming up with Dracula's son is not enough and thinks that this group isn't ready yet. He tells them that if they really want to kill Dracula, they'll need to head to his old family mansion, which is home to generations and generations of vampire hunter knowledge hidden deep under its foundations, and will hopefully still have the tools and weapons they need to stop Dracula once and for all. Meanwhile, Dracula starts to get impatient. His demon attack at the city of Gresit didn't work, so he calls his vampire generals around the world to meet him at his castle. These are the world's most horrifying serial killers, and Dracula tells them that these two human assistants of his, blue-eye guy and tattoo face here, will be in charge of his plans from now on, and that everybody here must listen to them or else. The vampire generals are shocked and begin to think that their vampire lord has started to lose his mind and grow weak. Okay, this is terrifying. Right now, the world is about to get royally screwed, but what's even more scary is that even the predators at the top of the food chain here aren't even working well together anymore. And that means everything can get even worse, because the way these people are going about their plans, it's not methodical, it's not planned out. It's just simply destruction all over. To even the untrained eye, it's obvious at this point that Dracula here has lost his marbles. Dracula didn't act like the leader they knew in the past, with what he did on full display right in front of them. No vampire general would ever be okay with humans giving them orders. He should not have strong-armed his generals into obeying him. This is going to cause him problems down the road. What he should have done was to use logic and make these generals think things through. If I was Dracula, I would have told them that as vampires, we can't think exactly like humans because we're not human. But in order to eliminate the filth that are humans, we have to think like filth by using these two humans to eliminate their own race. Dracula could have made the argument that having humans kill humans would actually display their power even more. And if the vampires are truly going to take over the entire human world, we will need to learn to work together, even if it is with a small group of humans. Because even though the human race is pathetic and weak, without them, the vampires can't survive. Taking over the human world will require coordination and teamwork, which means that Dracula should have worked on inspiring the group to think of them all as a team rather than a hierarchy. Dracula should have inspired this group to work together to contribute to our bottom line, rather than just having Dracula force his will onto his generals. It's never worked well throughout history, and it's not going to work well here either. And on top of that, Dracula isn't even taking into account that his vampires have come from all over the world. Each of them have their own different style and how they get shit done. For example, Redbeard here is clearly a vampire Viking, meaning that Dracula could have probably predicted that his problem-solving style would be to use brute force over critical thinking. Dracula could have used this to his advantage, rather than just going against him straight away, because in doing this, Dracula just made himself an enemy, and on top of that, he just caused friction within his group of generals. And while Dracula may be the most cunning and powerful thing on Earth, it's clear that even his dead heart can feel things, because he is so deep in his feels right now, it's disgusting. Him giving in to his grief will be the biggest factor that will probably contribute to his downfall. Hint, hint. Just then a pale blonde general walks in late to the party, and the one person who is going to ruin everybody's dinner plans. Her name is Carmilla. This Carmilla asks Dracula what all the others are thinking. Why are the vampires going to war over his dead wife? Furious, Dracula forces her to speak to him in private, where she tells him that he needs to be careful with how he treats his generals or else they may soon turn on him. But he dismisses her and tells her that he has everything under control. But that was his biggest mistake. Meanwhile, Trevor's group sets up camp on their way to his family mansion, and Alucard tells him that his father is punishing humanity for the death of his wife. And Alucard even tells them that he's even seen books of the plans that Dracula has for the world once he makes humanity go extinct, and that the books are made from the dried skins of the people he hates most. But just then they hear sounds in the distance, and they realize that a patrol from Dracula's demon army has found them. Okay, is it just me? But doesn't this bird demon with the beak totally look like a dude cosplaying as one of those plague doctors? And also, despite having a halfy vampire fighting with a longsword on our team, while it is great, this Alucard guy played it all wrong. If I was them, I would have expected trouble to find us. I mean, we did kind of cancel out their invasion of Gresit. We should have been more careful about how we chose to set up camp out in the wild. Because while Sypha may have been a cute nobody, and Alucard was presumed to be in hiding for centuries and no one knew where he was exactly, Trevor being the world's greatest vampire hunter and human means that it would have been obvious that we would have been hunted down due to our reputation alone. And the fact that humans live less than 100 years means that Dracula would have known that the Belmont family still probably had a chance of being alive, and therefore he himself was under threat by default. And look at this, eh? They were acting like they were camping in Canada. No cover, no nothing. Why would you ever do that? They didn't even bother to light the fire deeper into the ground. By doing this, the light from the flames would not have been as visible from a distance. In fact, there was no point in even lighting a fire at all. Think about it, we got Alucard, the halfy vampire over here, which means he can easily handle the weather, and us being a big, sexy, strong man with a whip, that we should have been able to suck up the cold as well. And Sypha, on the other hand, she's a freaking wizard. I'm pretty sure she could have turned on some magical heat warmers and kept herself warm. Point is, they did everything wrong. Covering the fire at the first sign of danger was pointless as well, because if you can now hear the enemy, they're already too close for comfort, and they know where you are. By putting out the light, they've just alerted the bad guys that they know that they are there. If I was them, I would have left the fire on. I would have quickly retreated into the forest behind them. That would have allowed me to blend in with the cover and provide me with an environment to better hide myself from their view. And if we also notice, a lot of these demons have long weapons like scythes and possess wings to fly, meaning they're likely built for a battle in open terrain, aka old school medieval style type of fighting, meaning that many of the demons would likely not be as effective in fighting in close quarter combat out in the forest. Once the enemy is within the forest and unable to see us clearly, then I would have used the cover of the woods to do the following. I would have ordered Alucard to attack them in the front, while I would then use Trevor to flank them, coming up from behind and pinning the demons in place, and then use Sypha with her long-range spells to provide support from a distance, and also have a wider view of the battle overall, and be able to provide support to either one of them, should this situation arise. And also, we cannot let any of them go free. The worst thing that can happen is if we let even one of these demon bastards escape. They've not only found our location, but they've also found out our identities. I mean, it's not that hard to put 2 and 2 together. They quickly prepare for battle. Alucard quickly draws his sword and takes the first swing, or first stab, and uses his super speed to shish kebab the crap out of these 2 demons. And Trevor and Sypha sort of pitch in. It's amazing. After the bloodbath, one demon escapes and heads back to Dracula's castle. A little while later, reading the corpse of the demon, the Vampire Council is informed that Trevor and Dracula's son were spotted near the city of Gresit, and they now think that Alucard and Trevor are working together against them. Tattoo Guy tells them that he suspects that they're headed to Trevor's old family mansion, and Carmilla freaks out at this news. She states that though the Belmont estate is destroyed, she's terrified that they'll somehow find a hidden treasure trove that'll give them access to the most powerful vampire killing tools in the world. Tattoo Guy tells Dracula that they must be stopped before that happens, but the other vampire generals disagree with him, and they tell Dracula that they shouldn't worry about one pathetic vampire hunter. Carmilla disagrees with this. Tattoo Guy tells them all that they should stay focused on their plans to wipe out humanity, and they all look to Dracula. He shocks them all by telling him that he doesn't know what to do and needs more time to think. Not eager to die anytime soon, Carmilla later goes to talk to Blue Eye Guy about Dracula not being able to make up his mind and acting out of anger over his dead wife. She thinks he's leading them all down to a path of self-destruction. Nervous, Blue Eye can't help but agree, and also thinks that his beloved master Dracula isn't the powerful man he used to be. She tries to convince him to create a magical army to go looking for Trevor at his family's mansion, and she tells him that if he really wants to help Dracula, he needs to convince the vampire lord to attack this city called Brayla, because if they secure this city, they'll be able to take over the rest of the country in no time. Blue Eye Guy hesitates to help her and thinks that they should think about this, but she tells him that Dracula isn't thinking clearly and it's up to them to help him win before Dracula destroys the entire vampire race. Okay, this is a sticky situation that I'm not sure I want to be in. This Blue Eye Guy is a human who has basically been mistreated by humanity all of his life, and now he hates them for it. But the scary thing is that while he may have allegiances to the vampire race, most of these bloodsuckers don't trust him for shit and will easily kill him if given the chance. That means if I was him, I'd think twice before making any moves. The one good thing about Dracula's ways is that he's predictable, and he thinks everyone will listen to him. His ego makes him complacent, whereas Carmilla clearly has greater ambitions than just being a general, and is, shall we say, unhappy with her current position. This makes her unpredictable, and currently the greater threat between the two, since we can't predict her moves. However, the one thing that has kept Dracula from ruling the entire world has been his need to keep humans alive as a food source, and also to honor his wife. Dracula is way more powerful than people realize, and taking over the power structure he's set in place could change everything. If I was Blue Eye Guy, I would first use my powers as a forge master to my full advantage. These guys are basically necromancers that are able to bring back corpses from the dead to fight for them. This is why, knowing the risks involved, and to keep Carmilla satisfied and not kill me, I would agree to work with her for now, while secretly build my very own personal undead army, giving me, at the very least, an overwhelming offensive advantage, in case she screws me over, or if Dracula finds out about my betrayal. This may not be the best option, but it's the best one out of a series of shitty options, because at this point, we're stuck between a rock and a hard place. So what you gonna do? You gotta figure out a way to survive. The naive but good-intentioned Blue Eye Guy wants what's best for his master, and so he agrees to help her in secret. That was his biggest mistake. Meanwhile, Trevor's group finally reaches his old family mansion and discover a secret entrance into the basement. Using magic, they open the door and head down below, discovering generations of vampire-killing resources founded by Trevor's ancestors. Something down here will tell them how to kill Dracula, and the three get to work on figuring out how to save the world and reach Dracula's castle before it's too late. Back at Dracula's castle, one of his generals, Redbeard Guy here, asks him a question that all the generals have been thinking. He asks him, where will the vampires get their blood if humanity goes extinct. Dracula tells him that he has blood supplies and fresh animals stored in the castle. And Redbeard guy says that animal blood gives him the poops. Gross. And Redbeard guy notices something. He gets concerned and doesn't trust Dracula anymore and thinks that he just wants to make humanity go extinct out of grief and anger. Dracula gets pissed off and tells him to get the hell out. Walking out, Redbeard guy bumps into Carmilla and tells her that Dracula is on a suicide mission to join his dead wife and is trying to take everyone down with him. He also mentions that he noticed something about Dracula just now, and it's huge, telling her that he thinks the vampire lord hasn't fed on any humans in a while because he's weak. It's strange. A light bulb then goes off in Carmilla's head and she realizes something and knocks Redbeard guy down the stairs. She tells him to focus because they need to act immediately. Dracula is weak and distracted. She tells Redbeard that they need to now convince him to teleport the castle right now to the city of Brayla. He asks why she is so interested in that city, and she mysteriously tells him that that city is where she'll be free. Having once been a vampire slave to a crazy old man, Carmilla is tired of crazy old men running the world, and she tells Redbeard that Dracula's pathetic human wife has made him soft and reveals to him her horrifying plans to betray Dracula, and both of them work on figuring out how to kill the ruler of the night.
And if you don't want to get bit by no sexy vampire, then like, comment, let us know what you liked, and of course, didn't like, don't forget to check out the Holiday playlist down below.